2020 was a challenging year for everyone, and it was another year of overwhelming animal exploitation. Animal Save Movement, a love-based vegan community building a just world for the animals, the planet, and health, continue to hold animal vigils around the world to bear witness to an increasing number of animals. In 2020, Animal Save Movement turned 10 years old. Our first chapter, Toronto Pig Save, formed in December 2010 when co-founder Anita Krajnc adopted Mr. Bean and witnessed sad, frightened pigs en route to a pig slaughterhouse in downtown Toronto. Informed by Leo Tolstoy and Mahatma Gandhi, they made a promise to bear witness 3 times a week, share the animal stories, and ask every community with a slaughterhouse to hold vigils and organize. Through the power of community organizing, coming close, and trying to help, we can close all slaughterhouses. While COVID-19 spreads, Animal Save Movement's mission to end animal agriculture and reforest the earth continues. This year, activists had to adapt and find new ways to inform people about animal rights, including internet activism, challenges, talks, and trainings. Activists around the world took the coronavirus confinement challenge to simulate the confinement experienced by farmed animals. Although we can't mirror their lifelong pain and suffering, we used the experience to attempt to communicate their plight. In 2020, we set up new stickers for our social media and filters in our Instagram account. The pandemic has been a hot topic of discussion. The burning question is, could COVID-19 have been avoided? We are contracting diseases because we are killing and eating animals, and on top of that, to find cures, we are torturing primates and rodents. Is there a solution where humans and other animals get out alive? The U.S. Centers for Disease Control recommends eating a healthy diet, including lots of berries and cruciferous vegetables, plus taking hygiene measures such as frequent hand washing. Time and time again, studies have shown that a whole foods, plant-based diet is optimal for health. In addition to the health crisis, we are witnessing unprecedented environmental disasters. Climate Save Movement aims to stop the impact of animal agriculture on our planet and reforest the earth. Genesis Butler launched Youth Climate Save, a 4th branch of Animal Save Movement, to give a platform so the youth have their voices heard about climate issues, especially environmental destruction due to animal agriculture and deforestation. Save Squares were launched at a grassroots level in dozens of countries. Save Squares are a form of vegan outreach, street activism, with audio-visual displays, with street theater and blindfolds that attracts the attention of the public. With documentaries shown on video screens and catchy signs and outreach, we invite bystanders to take a closer look and have them think about their food choices regarding animals, the environment, and social justice. By asking questions and providing resources, we help them move towards a vegan lifestyle and activism. This year, the global animal rights movement mourns the loss of Regan Russell, pioneer in animal rights activism. Her death was an enormous shock to all.
Changed my life. My daughter changed my life. I taught her in grade 7 and 8, and in later life, I became the pupil. She was the greatest teacher. And thank you all so much.
On June 19th, 2020, Regan was struck and violently killed by a pig transport truck during a peaceful vigil outside a Fearman slaughterhouse in Burlington, Ontario, Canada, on one of the hottest days of the year, and a day after Ag-Gag Bill 156 was passed.
Regan spoke out against Bill 156, an ag-gag bill designed to put more punishment on those speaking out about the atrocities that take place in Ontario's farms, transport vehicles, and slaughterhouses than it does those committing the atrocities. When trying to stop harm brings the law down on you more harshly and swiftly than it does those who are causing the harm, what does that say about our society? And what does that say about the values and morals we hold collectively?
Activists were giving water to dehydrated pigs. Regan was run over while crossing a green traffic light at the end of the vigil to join her fellow activists. The violent death of Regan Russell is a huge loss, not only to Toronto Pig Save, but also the global animal rights community. People from all over the world grieved her loss, held memorial vigils in her honor, rescued animals, and organized actions to raise awareness about her death. Actor Joaquin Phoenix attended a vigil in Burlington where Regan was killed to honor her and raise his voice for all the animals slaughtered.
Phoenix, and I am here to honor Regan and all the activists that dedicate their lives to ending this injustice.
Toronto Pig Save organized memorial vigils and marches in Toronto, Burlington, and Hamilton, and took their protests directly to the police to demand the release of video evidence relating to Regan's death, and called for criminal charges to be laid.
We ask the Halton Police to reconsider their decision. We demand that the police release the video of the incident. Release the video! What do we want? Justice for Regan! When do we want it?
They also led a funeral procession straight to MPPs to highlight the link between Bill 156 and Regan's death. Memorial vigils were held around the world, which moved Regan's family. Animal Rebellion held an action in London in which activists blockaded roads in front of the Canadian Embassy. On July 18th, over 100 activists gathered and occupied Wiesenhof Slaughterhouse in Niederlima near Berlin, dropping banners and locking themselves to the gates. Over 160,000 chickens are killed at this slaughterhouse every day. And despite a coronavirus outbreak among its personnel, the slaughterhouse remained in operation. Dozens of chickens, pigs, lambs, and goats were rescued in Regan's name. Animal Save Movement activist Varun made a documentary, Regan Russell, a short film, which won the Best Film Award in the lifestyle category at the International Vegan Film Festival. Earthlings director Sean Monson presented the world premiere of There Was a Killing, which explored the criminal case against the animal agricultural industry. Also, the documentary We Are Their Voice, The Regan Russell Story by Jordan Ehrlich was released on Now This and went viral, attracting 6 million views. We aim to be an inclusive movement that recognizes the interconnections amongst all forms of oppression. We believe that putting an end to violence and oppression begins with love, respect, and kindness to all living beings, regardless of race, gender, or species.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
We face animal and climate emergencies and a health crisis. We must act now and act boldly if we are to achieve a fair, just, and healthy eco-vegan society for all. Join your local animal, climate, or health save chapter, or find co-organizers and start your own. Bear witness, speak out, and organize your community to dismantle the systems of animal oppression. Don't look away.
Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in to Naijha Speaks. I'm Naijha Wright Brown, contributing for Jane Unchained News, co-owner of the Land of Kush Vegan Soul Bistro in Baltimore, and executive director of the Black Vegetarian Society of Maryland. 2020 was indeed, without question, a challenging year for us all. Those that are still here, present, and watching should give thanks and express gratitude, because tomorrow is promised to no being. Today, I have invited members of the SAVE movement to join us. I have Anita Krajnc, Christopher Eubanks, Aprajita Ashish, and Varun Verlan. I thank you for taking the time to join us today. I'm sure you're all very busy, and I appreciate it. Please, I would love for each of you to take the time to introduce yourselves, talk to us how did you become vegan, and how did you get started with the SAVE movement? Who wants to start? Christopher, we'll start with you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so thanks for having us on today. It's a pleasure to be here. And I guess to try to summarize everything quickly, I began my vegan journey around I guess when I was 13, and I slowly stopped eating animal products. And I did that for a while, and for about 10 years I was a vegetarian, but it wasn't for ethical reasons. And then I left my job and just decided to become more of the person that I wanted to be, and do things that were passionate for me and my spirit. Developed mindfulness and meditative practice, and started learning about veganism and ethical veganism. And that was about almost 5 years ago. And once I learned about the horrors of animal agriculture and how it impacts the environment, after watching Cowspiracy, I became vegan on the spot. I would say about 5 or 6 months later, I started to really get into the ethical aspects of it and started to do activism in my local community. And shortly after that, I will say a year or so later, I became a co-organizer of my local Atlanta Animal Save chapter with a close friend of mine. And we started conducting vigils in our community. And I've been a organizer with SAVE for about 2 years. This past summer, I started doing activism when I started doing social media with the SAVE movement team. And now I'm the vegan outreach coordinator. So I help to organize and facilitate the SAVE squares that happen in Atlanta and around the globe for the SAVE movement.
Thank you, Christopher. Yes, Cowspiracy was definitely a documentary that moved me in such a way too. Aprajita Ashish. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Tell us about yourself and your journey and how you started with the SAVE movement.
It's okay, Naijha. And thank you so much for having me here, and thank you. So yeah, for me, it's been more than 2.5 years, not so long. I'm vegan, and just after that, it's been, I started my activism just after a week I became vegan. So I started my career with the social worker as a counselor. And in 2018, I came to know that through one of my friends about veganism, and there was a small video which changed my life completely. It was a dairy video, and I didn't knew that so much cruelty is involved in dairy. And just after that, and I think after that, I was not able to do any other work, and I immediately joined the local vegan group. And then there I came to know about Animal Save movement, and I started my vegan outreach with the Animal Save. And that's at that time I attended my first vigil in 2018 December, and that's how I connected and started my journey.
Thank you. Are you based in India? It says India. Is that where you're? Okay. Wow. Wow. Anita, do you want to share your story, how you started your journey and connected with the SAVE movement?
Yes. So I became vegetarian in the early 90s when I saw a film called The Animals Film, and I became an activist right away. Then I became vegan in 2006 after I saw a film called The Witness, and also when a student group called me out on being a hypocrite. And so then I learned more about the dairy industry and how it was connected to the veal industry. And then 4 years later, I moved from Kingston, where I was teaching, to Toronto, and I moved near a slaughterhouse, and I didn't do anything from 2006 to 2010, and then I adopted a dog, Mr. Bean, and we'd walk along Lakeshore in downtown Toronto, and we'd see trucks of pigs, and I couldn't believe it. At the time, I was a big follower of, I still am, of Leo Tolstoy and Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and I was reading biographies on them, and whenever there was an injustice in their community, they took action. Like Leo Tolstoy was a writer, but when there was a famine in Russia, he took a year and a half off with his family to set up over 200 soup kitchens and other programs, and so at that point, Toronto Pig Safe started right away. And interestingly, that was like December 2010, exactly 100 years after Leo Tolstoy died. And we started bearing witness, and I found that bearing witness, it was a different form of activism that made animal rights the #1 priority of my life. So I had been an animal rights activist for a couple decades already, but when I bore witness and firsthand and saw the victims in front of me, it changed my life.
Wow. Thank you for that. Varun, please tell us your story.
Thank you. I'm Varun. I'm a digital media coordinator for Global Animal Save Movement. I became vegan 7 years ago when I learned about the dairy industry. Prior to that, I was a vegetarian, and I used to think, I really cared about animals. And also, I was that time living in India, and there's a big misconception that cows are revered in India. But when I looked more into the dairy industry, I realized that that's not the case. The cows are still objectified and exploited, and eventually end up in the slaughterhouse, just like in any other country. And when I learned about it, I spent so many years thinking I was not contributing to violence against animals, which I was. Then I went vegan. I learned more about it. As I kept on learning, I realized the importance of being active, because when I was learning about these things, it really appalled me seeing so much injustice against other animals. So I learned about activism, and I straight up started activism in 2014. And that's when I started doing disruptions and vegan outreach, marches, and other stuff. So I spent a few years, and that time I was also in my university. So there was I tried to convince people within in my groups to go vegan as well, and some were eventually interested. 4 years after that, I moved to London, Ontario, and that's when I started bearing witness to animals. My first vigil was at a chicken slaughterhouse, and it's so different, seeing other animals in front of you. It's so different from seeing them in a video, because it's live. It's happening now. You can see the fear, terror. You can smell the fear, and it's just so surreal. It just completely transformed me into an activist who just committed his whole life to animal liberation.
Then I started bearing witness to other animals, cows, pigs, chickens. I used to travel in Southern Ontario, and yeah, it was a like completely different experience. And I started doing other forms of activism because as Animal Save movement, our key message is bear witness, go vegan, and get active. So when you see the animals, it's kind of, you know, it holds you accountable. You feel like you just...
Because you see it. It's
Yeah.
live and direct, and your energy is there. I can imagine.
And you see the contrast, like one group, one marginalized group in a transport truck about to be killed. And we as humans, we're able to bear witness. We're using our privilege to bear witness. But we are the ones who are going to go back home and, you know, live our lives. So there's like, you just see the disparity. So yeah, I started bearing witness. And then last year I joined the digital media team with Animal Save movement. I started using my skills to grow our social media accounts, because social media, it's such a powerful tool.
Yes.
If it was not for social media, I would have not learned about veganism or activism. So, and like I went to school for I have a degree in journalism, and then I went to school for public relations, corporate communication, and marketing management. So I'm just using my skills to, you know, build a community and really get the message out. Then last year, so a friend of mine, friend and fellow activist Regan Russell died, and I like dedicated my activism that time to Regan. I coordinated the Regan Russell pressure campaign, and it was a really successful campaign locally. We got lots of media coverage, and at that time, I also made a documentary for Regan, as you have seen in the year in review video. It also won the Best Film Award at the International Vegan Film Festival. So
congratulations.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate that Regan had to be killed for that to happen. But yeah.
So yeah, that's about me.
So Animal Save movement started with the inception of the Toronto Pig Save in 2010. And then fast forward 10 years, we experienced a grave tragedy with the killing of Regan Russell while trying to stop a transport truck full of pigs. Why is what Animal Save movement does so important in relation to animal rights, human rights, and now youth rights? Because you have the youth organization with Genesis Butler. Please talk to the audience about that, because this is a huge organization. You have Animal Save, and you have other movements within the organization. But let's talk about why what you all do from a global perspective is so important. Anyone can jump in for that one, or I'm going to pick someone.
Okay, I'll go. Yeah. So as Animal Save movement, we strongly believe that, first of all, I mean, it's a fact that our movement is comprised of allies to non-human animals. Like, we are not the victims. We are allies to non-human animals. And our job should be to create more allies to the movement. And instead of looking at them as like other movements as a counter movement, we should look at them as our potential allies, because we are way, way, way stronger together. So as Animal Save movement, we really believe in building coalitions and building coalitions with other movements. We really believe that in order to make our movement much, much stronger, we need to show solidarity, because at the end of the day, these other social justice movements are also fighting against injustices and oppression like we are. And if we all came together and committed to ending injustice and oppression against all beings, we are so, so much stronger than to just working in isolations and looking at just one simple, like one isolated oppression. So it's really important to recognize the interconnectedness of various forms of oppression and framing our strategies and tactics accordingly, so we end up building our movement stronger rather than alienating potential allies.
Right. How many organizers, volunteers in total are in the Animal Save movement? And just because I can only imagine with the other groups, but in Animal Save, how many organizers, volunteers do you have?
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer, but
Okay.
we have about 1,000 chapters.
Right.
And we have 4 branches. So we have Animal Save Movement, and that's the main branch. That's where most of the chapters are. But we have Climate Save Movement and Youth Climate Save, which was started by Genesis Butler last year. And we have Health Save Movement. So we have these 4 branches. And like Varun said, we try to cover all the different reasons for going vegan. And starting with Animal Save Movement, we started with this strategy of bearing witness. And what we basically say is that everyone has a moral duty to not look away, but to come close and to try to help when someone is suffering. And that's the definition that Leo Tolstoy presented over 100 years ago. And it's a strategy that all social movements have used. Martin Luther King talked about bearing witness to and speaking out against the Vietnam War. He said by not speaking out, his name would be written on the napalm bombs. And I think the same is true for all of us. If we don't speak out for the animals, our name is written in blood on the slaughterhouse walls. And we use the second main strategy we use is love-based community organizing, again, drawing from Martin Luther King, Gandhi, and others, and Cesar Chavez from the United Farm Workers. And in a community organizing approach, you're very inclusive, inviting. We have people of all generations. We have children, we have mothers, we have grandmothers, we have people of all colors, of all genders. It's a community organizing approach that's very inclusive. And I think the other lesson that we try to apply from other movements that are successful is we try to have a representative organizing team. So from the United Farm Workers and Cesar Chavez, who was a vegan, we learned to have like expanding team leadership and representation. So as soon as SAVE started to grow, like from the first chapter, Toronto Pig Save, we always had a global vision. Like we wanted to have a vigil at every slaughterhouse. And by being global as an organization, you could be representative, but also locally. Like we've been working towards getting a more representative organization. And we know from the labor movement that if an organization is representative, it's more likely to be successful. It's the right thing to do, but it's also more effective. And if you look at our annual report, which is on our website, animalsavemovement.org, you'll see that, we do have we've worked hard towards having a representative team, and hence we're more effective as a result of it. But we have a way to go, and we're going to keep on working at it.
I want to bring the website up. We'll go over the website in a minute because I do have it up. What are some of the challenges that you're going through or that you face with the movement, and how are you overcoming them? And I know you talked a little bit about how the pandemic, in the video, how the pandemic has been impacting your efforts and what you're doing, but what challenges are you still facing now? Chris, you want to take that?
Yeah, so locally, I think one of the biggest challenges is, so I would say 2 things. Right now, getting people out and making sure that people are coming to events consistently. There's obviously a lot of trepidation as to why people wouldn't want to attend events right now, and that's totally understandable. Before COVID, we were really making a strong push and getting more and more people out to bear witness. A little bit of that has slowed down since COVID, but it's starting to slowly pick back up. And I would say one of the other hardest things is to bear witness and still be able to not see the world through a darkened lens. I know when I first started bearing witness locally, we were at a slaughterhouse and we never saw trucks. For a lot of slaughterhouses, a lot of them, some of them don't come during daylight hours. So we were trying to go to a slaughterhouse and witness and bear witness, but obviously these slaughterhouses were bringing trucks in at times of the day when the animals weren't visible to the public for the most part. So after attending my first few vigils and I didn't see any trucks, it was a different experience from going to vigils and starting to see the animals. And once I started to see the animals, I would say the first couple of times it was really hard to go back to bearing witness, because it's really it really hits your spirit. It really it can take a toll on you.
Oh yeah. I'm an emotional person. I haven't bared witness because I already know how my emotions are. So I can only imagine what goes on in your head, in your mind, in your heart when you see this, you know, and what type of power you have to control this. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not stopping. This is an everyday thing, and just being out there doing something counts, and it matters. But how do we get it to stop? Because it's going to go on every day, right? I'm sure you all feel that and are aware of that. So yeah, it's an emotional thing. I can only imagine. You know, I'm going to build up my courage to do it, but I already know how it would be. It's when you're in a position that you can't, you know, you can't go knock down the door and say, hey, like, stop this right now and stop, and they're going to do something, and then it's not going to happen. Like, how does that make you feel? You know?
Absolutely. Yes. So that was one of the challenges. I think one of the ways that I began to overcome that was, you know, doing something directly afterwards that was a little bit more uplifting. So whether going to a sanctuary afterwards, having a meal afterwards, and just, you know, building a community with the people that we were attending vigils with is something that we really strive to foster, because like you just mentioned, it can definitely take a toll on your spirit. And, you know, we have to understand that everyone may not be able to come out on a consistent basis. Some people may come out weekly. Some people may come out, you know, a few times a week. Some people may just be able to come out a few times a month. But I think, you know, letting people know that, you know, whatever you can do is fine as long as you are standing up and advocating. And also know that there's a lot of other ways that you can participate in events. So whether you do a square, bear witness, are active with the Health Save movement, climate outreach, and different types of events, just trying to foster a community, it really helps out.
Thank you for that, Christopher. The Black Lives Matter movement, which I saw was highlighted in the video, and we're speaking about the animal rights movement, and that's what Animal Save is about. Those movements are sometimes known to clash for lots of reasons. You know, I see it, hear it, it's on social media. Would you agree? And I would like to get each of your perspectives on it. Would you agree? Why or why not? When it comes to Black Lives Matter and the animal rights movement and some of the conflicts that happen in those movements. I'd like to hear from Abhijita.
Yes, so definitely I think we should always stand with the injustice happening. And since I'm from India, so I can relate it with the injustice happening here. So we have like a casteism system here, and we can completely relate that with the Black Lives Matter movement. So when we so with the whole animal save movement, if I talk about is the mentality we target, that the mentality of oppression. So if you see someone who's weak, or you know, who is not able to stand or speak for themselves, or you know, it's like, or some other person or some other is trying to oppress, so we need to be standing against that, and we are targeting that mentality of that we have to be anti-oppressant. So that we supported completely here in India also, and all from all over the Asia. We stood against the injustice happening to the Black folks, and we supported the Black Lives Matter movement.
Thank you for that. Varun, do you want to say anything about that?
For sure, yeah. As I said earlier, some people may look at other social justice movements, such as Black Lives Matter, as a counter movement rather than a potential ally.
Right.
And I think we need to move away from that mentality. We have so much to learn from the Black community. Like I really credit my knowledge about race and even speciesism to Black people, Black content creators. In fact, like 7 years ago when I went vegan, I kind of built my interest in other social justice movements as well. So there was a speech by Dr. Joy DeGruy. It's called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. It's available on YouTube. It has nothing to do with veganism, but the concept that she uses, drawing attention to the injustices that against Black people that have historically, and the concept, for example, she uses the concept of cognitive dissonance. It's something that, like white colonizers and slave owners, they had this cognitive dissonance every time they were oppressing people, like Black people. Their actions were conflicting with their beliefs.
Right.
So for example, she uses example how white slave owners, they used to consider themselves as civilizers, as superiors, as people who existed to uplift other races, but they were engaging in a really, really damaging behavior. So that created this cognitive dissonance among them. So to remove that dissonance, they objectified, they dehumanized black bodies. And although she's not vegan, Dr. Joy DeGruy, she's so knowledgeable about it. So this same mentality of cognitive dissonance, it exists in every oppression. So when we talk about non-human oppression, again, when humans want to oppress other beings, they objectify other animals. They treat them as commodities. For example, we use the term livestock for other animals. What does livestock mean? It's mean property. So when you convince yourselves that, oh, these animals are livestock, you don't have to feel bad about oppressing them because you're not even dealing with individuals. You're dealing with property.
Right.
So,
it's a psychological thing.
Yeah. So again, as I said, we have so much to learn from other movements, and I think, like, which is why I strongly believe that if we are together, we can learn so much from each other and tackle injustices, no matter if it's against black people or non-human animals or any other marginalized group. We can, build bridges, build coalitions, and systematically tackle these oppressions. So I look at other movements as our potential allies with whom we can, collectively dismantle systemic oppression against all marginalized individuals.
Thank you for that. Anita, what would you like to add to it?
Yeah, I think the Black Lives Matter movement is really strong, and it's achieved a lot in the last few years, in particular recently. I think it's responsible for protecting our democracy and, the defeat of the Trump government. I think we have a lot to learn from Black Lives Matter. We have Gwenna Hunter, who's works with Vegan Outreach, and also she started she's working with the LA Health Save chapter in LA. She's working with communities like in Crenshaw and other areas, and providing vegan food baskets. And I think it's nice when solidarity with other movements involves actions, like concrete actions, such as Gwenna Hunter's doing.
Yes, I love her.
Yeah, and we got to spread that in other areas. Like we're in Toronto, we're going to try to move in that direction. But our first step was when we were partnering with $1 Million Vegan to give out vegan food during the pandemic. We went to Black-owned businesses and provided food in that community to raise awareness about those vegan Black-owned restaurants. But we need to go further in terms of doing, I think, what Gwenna was doing, what she is doing right now in LA.
Thank you for that. And Christopher, what do you want to say?
Yeah, I think that everything that everyone has mentioned so far is so on point. And I also think that there's a lot of healing that has to come from recognizing where each of us stand, although we are all in a fight against in a fight for collective liberation. There's a lot of just trauma that comes along with being who we are in this world. And I think all of these social justice movements, whether we're working with Black Lives Matter or Black Lives Matter are working with us, we have to understand where each of us come from and make room for us in these environments. I just recently wrote an article about, my experiences when I first began doing animal activism and how it was kind of isolating for me, and I didn't, quite have the support that I felt I needed, and how I can understand how that could deter other potential activists in being a part of this movement. So I think, we just have to understand that when we open up space for other people in this movement, whether it be people of all different ages and races and genders, that we just have to understand that where they come from, how their perspective may impact how they view our current movement, how it may impact what we're doing, the type of outreach that we do, the type of events that we do, and just understand that we all have so much to contribute, that it really behooves us, the animals, and just us as a species to be very inclusive and understanding of the plight of others.
I appreciate that. I was going to mention, I've been to, I don't know if any of you have been to the National Animal Rights Conference. I've gone for a few years, and there was a question that came up during a lunch that I was having about why a lot of Black folks aren't attending the Animal Rights Conference. And it was just interesting. My response was basically, well, I'm here, but a lot of us are really focusing on a lot of the other issues that are going on in the community. And, sometimes animal rights is not on that top list of issues. So, and then you have to make sure you feel comfortable in these settings. And a lot of times, like you said, Christopher, you don't feel comfortable. Like, you're like, what are we going to do about our people eating chicken? Like, our people are the only ones that eat chicken. If we're going to start off like that, then, this is not going to be a good ride for the rest of the conference. So just understanding people's situation and being open and willing to hear what are the challenges, what strategies do need to be used, because every strategy, it can't be the same for everybody. It's all still marketing. You have to have certain strategies to go into certain communities and know, what the accessibility issue is and all of that. So I thank you for saying that, Christopher, because we have a whole lot of work to do, and we got to be a little bit more open if we want to push the needle in that direction. How are the animals saved, climate saved, health saved, and youth saved different? We know what the focus is: climate, health, youth, animal. Is the structure still the same, or are there any different differentiations between the groups in terms of how they're run?
Well, I could say that Youth Climate Save is youth-led. So Janelle is Genesis' mother, and she acts more like the secretary to Genesis and the youth.
Okay.
And the structure of Animal Save movement is fairly horizontal. Like the chapters are the most important unit in our movement. So that encourages local leadership development and innovation. And so chapters in Latin America, particularly in Uruguay, they're very interested in vegan food giveaways and
nice.
Vegan mutual aid and vegan social work. And so there's that innovation coming from them, and we learn from them. And different parts of the world offer different things.
Nice.
Yeah. Aprajita's in Mumbai, and she's been very successful at getting like celebrities in Bollywood involved. And so we just try to draw on the strengths that people have locally.
Awesome. I'm going to show the website here, because we're going to talk about that, because that's the next set of questions. How do people, sorry about that. How does one actually go about joining the movement? Like, let's say someone like me, myself, where do I start if I wanted to do all of them or one of them, how do I go about joining the movement, or even initiating a new focus in the movement, let's say, because you have all these folks. How do I do this? And we have the website here right now,
Right.
and it's a great website. It's very, very informational. There's a lot of information on here. So folks, it's thesavemovement.org. Thesavemovement.
Yeah. So if in your case, which one would you like to start off with, like, of the brand?
I mean, all of them. I'm definitely into the health movement, and want to get a little bit more into the animal save movement.
Yeah. So maybe if you go to the health save, start with that one. You would the first step would be to go to the map and see if there's a health save group in your location.
Okay. Find a chapter, right?
And there are a few health saves in the United States, but not many. So most likely there is not a health save in your city. So you would then just there's a tab that says start a new group, and you would write to start@animalsave.org.
Okay. So you can start a new group. Okay. Yeah. Start a health. Okay.
Yeah. So you write to us, and then we have regional and country liaisons. So that's the way we're organized. So Aprajita is the regional liaison for Asia. Varun is a regional liaison for North America. So you would then have a call with Varun.
Okay. Awesome. Folks, it's thesavemovement.org, and it is scrolling on the ticker. And I will also put it in the comments. I was impressed, and I am impressed because this is like, very well organized, and its focus is on a lot or all of the initiatives that are needed to decrease animal consumption and exploitation. So whether you're going to go from the animal perspective, health perspective, climate perspective, or it's just something there for anyone that wants to get involved. And I definitely appreciate being exposed to this. If each of you weren't doing this type of work, what would you be doing? Because I'm sure, when we were born and brought up, we didn't just say we wanted to go out and save animals. I'm sure there were other aspirations. So who wants to talk about what their aspiration would be if they weren't doing this work? Aprajita, he's always quiet over there, so I gotta pick one. I got the name now. I'm like, I'm gonna call you through the rest of the broadcast.
So if not this, and I have to be vegan, right? I mean, I'm vegan.
You were born vegan.
Okay, I'm born vegan, right? Okay, so I'm a professional social worker and a counselor. So my majority of specialization is in family counseling, juvenile and divorce counseling. So
oh wow, we need that.
I would have definitely started making people vegan through that from that way. I mean, counseling and making them introducing them to veganism and helping them out. So I remember one more thing, that before I joined SAVE, I was working in one of the corporate as a HR head, and I was recruiting people, and I had a lot of questions which I have to ask to the people coming for the interviews. So every time I asked for each and every candidate question related to animals, and let them think about veganism or something like, what do you think? Eating animals is a personal choice. So can you speak 1 minute on that? So like that. Nice. So I always have to find a chance to speak about and educate people on that.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Varun, what would you be doing? Something digital?
Oh, yeah. By the way, in that scenario, would the world be vegan?
Wow, okay, that you added too. Would the world be vegan? Okay, let's say if it would, what would you be doing?
Yeah, I would just going for like long drives, spending my vacations around and partying and stuff like that.
Okay, you like the recreational stuff.
But I mean, I would have to make some, like, to survive, I had to do something. So yeah, digital stuff. Before Save, I was actually working for, temporarily was part of my internship at a university college, doing the social media stuff and like communication stuff. So something of that sort.
Okay.
And I also do like some video production. So I'll probably be making some documentaries about other issues.
And there was a question. Someone asked, "What was the name of the what's the name of the film?" I know we showed it on the video, but if you could just answer that question.
Yeah, you can find it on Toronto Pig Save's YouTube channel. It's called Regan Russell then - a short film. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, like right now, most of my work involves like social media and hosting live stream panels like this, and just social media trainings and stuff like that. But I still do some stuff with YouTube, but I want to really get back to video production and hopefully come up with more documentary ideas. You never know, or just like short films and stuff like that. I really want to get back to that.
Okay, I might be reaching out to you for some stuff.
For sure.
Christopher, what about you?
Oh, so I would definitely be in the creative field. So my first love is hip hop. So I've been.
There you go. So you know about hip hop is green, Dan. You down with the hip hop is green? You know Keith and all that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. All right.
Absolutely. So I was writing raps at like 13 years old.
Okay.
I was in the studio. I had my own studio in my early 20s. Was engineering, mixing, recording.
Well, I'm from the South Bronx, so you know I know all about it.
Of course.
So.
Yeah, some of my favorite rappers are like Mos Def, Jay-Z.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a hip hop nerd, so
all right. I gotta connect you with my husband Greg. You know, you two get along real well. You know, do you know Greg?
I don't think I do.
Yeah, I gotta connect. He's a hip hop head, like totally. Yes, yeah, definitely. Underground, all of that stuff.
Oh,
so,
yeah,
I gotta connect you too.
Right up my alley. Yeah, that's something that like I said, hip hop was my first love. I used it as a way to just express my thoughts, relieve stress, be creative. So I would have maybe a record label. I would be an artist myself. I don't know. I guess I would ultimately find some way to be creative, because even before I was into hip hop, I was drawing. And then over the last 5 or 10 years, I really got into photography and video. So I just have a creative spirit. So I would definitely probably be a hip hop artist that I would kind of be like Gordon Parks. That's
okay. All right. Well, when this pandemic dies down, we're gonna hit you up in Atlanta, because that's on our list. We're gonna get back out there and pay some visits.
All right, I'm here.
Okay, Christopher. Anita, what would you be doing?
Well, before I started working mainly in animal rights, I was teaching at a college, but my real passion has always been social movements. So as an undergrad, I studied peace and conflict studies. So I was in the peace movement, and then for my master's and PhD, I looked at environmental issues, and so I'd probably be an environmentalist. But I also like the cultural field. I'm very interested in like the power of documentaries. So yeah, those are areas I work in.
Nice. So we have a lot of commenting, and it's just like scrolling across the screen. I can only highlight but so much, but there's people saying all types of great things. I want to get this last question in, because time is ticking. Are there any upcoming projects that we need to look forward to from the Animal Save movement? We got Earth Day coming up, all types of, like, what's going on in the Animal Save movement that we need to tell everyone about? Anything? Or just go to the website?
Well, we have a Don't Look Away multi-year project, and the first part of it was Watch Dominion, and so we're asking do a reaction video to Watch Dominion, do a reaction video, and then tag 10 people. And it's like a pyramid scheme. So if 10
Can
people,
they find that on the website?
It's on our social media. Like
at the same
on Instagram, you'll see beautiful Watch Dominion posters and the instructions there.
Okay, so they need to check out at the Save Movement on IG.
Yes, and watch and Dominion is free on YouTube. Just look up Dominion documentary.
I'm putting that in the chat. Watch Dominion. Awesome. And the best way they can reach out, that's going to be my last question, is the best way they can connect with Animal Save Movement. We have the website that's scrolling on the bottom, thesavemovement.org. I just put out the Instagram, the Save Movement. Follow Animal Save there. Anything else that you want to say before we leave? Again, I appreciate you taking your time. I know we're all busy, but this information is really important because somebody needs this information. I'm sure somebody wants to join, somebody wants to help, they want to know how to go about doing this. So thank you for taking the time out to be on Naijha Speaks. Any last thing you want to say?
Could people write to start at animalsavemovement.org if they'd like to start a chapter? It's
okay.
It will help you every.
That's an email? Is that an email?
Yeah.
Okay.
So at animalsavemovement.org. We'd love it if you started a local health save chapter, Animal Save. There's likely a slaughterhouse in your community.
Okay, 1 second. So write to start at animalsavemovement.org to create a chapter, right? Okay. All right. I just put that there. Yeah, myself, I'm going to do some more research on the Save Movement and see where I can fit in. You know, because I would love to collaborate on something. You know, I want to do my own research and see what I can do and where I can fit in. I appreciate this.
Yeah, we also have a week of action for aquatic life coming up. It'll be from March 20th to March 27th. Week of action for aquatic life, where we'll be bringing attention to fish. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, because like fish, and I don't like using the term fish because all this grammatically correct.
Aquatic life, I love it.
I also use, like, for example, I mean, it might go for like another 10 minutes, but yeah. So we'll be using social media to amplify the voices of fishes, and we'll be holding signs called Fishes Are People, because we really believe that, you know, in order to dismantle animal exploitation, we need to grant non-human animals their personhood. So in our society, there's a person and property. So currently, non-human animals are property, and we need to change that worldview. We need to change that idea. So, and fishes, they are the most oppressed non-human species. Like, they are even when we talk about them, we talk about them in terms of their weight and numbers. So we say 100 tons of fish. We never talk about them in terms of their individuality. So even the term fish reduces them to like 1 unit. So which is why we need to use the term fishes. So that's coming up. And the last but not the least, if you're watching, please join your local Animal Save vigil. They're really life-changing. We have people joining Animal Save and Animal Vigil for the first time. And then months later, they're doing different forms of activism. So, you know, going to a vigil really gets people to just get involved and do something about what they witness. So, yep.
Awesome. Chris, do you have any? Oh, these are just all the events. Anita and Varun spoke for everyone about the events.
Yeah, they pretty much covered it. I will say that one of the things that I'm focusing on right now is helping to grow our vegan outreach. So I'm hoping to bring a lot of new and exciting different things to the way that outreach has been traditionally done in the animal rights community. So I'm looking forward to what that is going to look like this year. So that's something that we are working on right now.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Everything is covered. Yeah, so most of the things are covered. And I just wanted to say that vigils are really important, and it is something which is enlightening and eye-opening. So please please do attend vigil once at your nearest
Yes.
safe chapter, or you can also start on, and there are a lot of videos of vigils in our YouTube channel. You can have a look there, and I have seen people changing right there during the vigil and saying that right now I'm going vegan. So it is that powerful. So please do that. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks again. Thank you for tuning in to Naijha Speaks. I just want to give a shout out to my sponsors, The Welfare World, Veg Fund, Women Funders in Animal Rights, Eat the Change, nutritionfacts.org, Mercy for Animals, and individual supporters like yourselves who are watching. And definitely shout out to Jane Unchained News for allowing me to use her platform to stream this great live video broadcast. So thanks again. Be safe, be well, and until I see you all again, blessings. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you.